Hello, my senior friends. Thanks for joining me to learn today. This is a video cast trying to explain to you a framework of questioning, a scaffolding or an approach, if you will, of questioning a work of literature, particularly those kind of works of literature that leave us with some sort of central mystery, usually the unexplained behavior of some character. We know there must be an explanation, but it defies itself immediately. So we need some sort of framework. We need some sort of lens through which to examine the story to come up with a greater understanding. So the first question is fairly straightforward. We simply want to identify what is the act, what does the character do that needs some sort of explanation. Now, in the case of the prodigal son, this question should be fairly evident. What does he do at the beginning of the story that seems to be unprompted? Now, we know that characters don't simply act in a vacuum. They don't behave without some sort of provocation, some sort of cause. So really that leads us to our second question, as we recognize that a character's behavior oftentimes reflects his or her understanding of the situation or circumstance that the character finds himself or herself in. That raises the second question. How does the character understand the situation in which he or she acts? It doesn't matter if the understanding is accurate or logical, illogical. It is what it is, and it is what prompts the act in the first place. So when we consider the case of the prodigal son and his behavior, we need to recognize that his behavior is prompted by his understanding of his situation. And in that case, that has a lot to do with how he understands home and far away, the far country. So your first part of the assignment is to draft two columns, just like this, and list a minimum of 6 pairs of contrasts of what he might think about or associate with home and what he might think about and associate with the far country. Now these are going to be opposites. So if he associates home with food, let's say, the opposite might be starvation. Now we're thinking about this in the beginning of the story, the prodigal son. Let's gain some perspective on the boy's understanding and how realistic it is, and consider how his father might look at those two places as well. What does he associate with the home and the far country? So second part of the assignment is to do the same thing, is to create a little table, brainstorm associations. This is going to come from your insights. What's plausible, what's likely, what's possible that might be going on inside this father's mind, and likewise inside the mind of his young son. Third, when we look at how a character understands his situation, we also need to consider how does he understand himself as the doer of this act? In other words, we're looking at how the character understands himself and justifies his or her actions. Now specifically for the prodigal son, this is going to mean how does he understand himself in asking for his inheritance and leaving home? Let's sharpen this question a little bit as we recognize that literature oftentimes operates in contrasts, and we have another figure who factors into the story, and that is the older brother. So when we consider these two, let's do another table. And first of all, how does the prodigal son view himself versus his older brother? So how does he see himself? What will he think about himself and his older brother? Again, you're looking for pairs, these ordered contrasts. If he sees himself as happy, then his brother is sad. Now, I think there's much better answers than that. I'll leave that to you. The fourth part And the last part of your assignment here is to think about how the older brother might view himself. This is the older brother who stays at home. So what's your table going to reflect about what he might think about and associate with himself versus what he might think about his younger brother? Again, you're looking for these ordered pairs, these contrasts. Do some brainstorming, come prepared, so we can gain some insight, greater insight as we work together to explain this mysterious behavior of the prodigal son who just one day asks for his inheritance and leaves home.